Hey everyone, I'm Sam, and I'm here with Brendan.
Hey guys.
And we're playing A Link to the Past, the 1992 Super Nintendo game that most people in the office would probably have to argue for this as their favorite game, or at least their favorite Zelda game. And I think I'm more of a Metroid Prime, Super Mario Bros. 3, Ocarina of Time guy, but I know a lot of people here love Link
Yeah,
to the
when it
Past.
comes to me, like, I love Ocarina of Time, but I think Link to the Past holds a special place in my heart, like, more so than Ocarina of Time.
Let me ask you this then.
Mm-hmm.
Especially in a scene like this, do you think Ocarina of Time can be criticized as too much of a remake or approximation of A Link to the Past? Because I've heard that criticism leveled at Ocarina before.
Yeah, I've heard that too.
And I mean, I think they're really different.
I do too.
I actually played A Link to the Past, like maybe as a rental for 8 hours or something, and never finished it. And I never really put that together when I played Ocarina, but now when I see it, I'm like, oh yeah.
There's a
couple
couple
three
things.
gems first, and then more opens up.
I mean, yeah, they stuck to a certain style, but you could argue that that style has been largely prominent in all the Zelda games. I don't think it's just A Link to the Past, Ocarina of Time
there's
thing.
no centaurs in any other Zeldas, like the first one.
Yet.
Which is the coolest thing ever. I mean, they're in the 2D ones.
There's a lot of things that they actually kind of removed when they went over to Link to the Past. They kept the magic meter from Zelda 2, which was one of the things that Zelda 1 didn't have.
Yeah.
But if you remember from Zelda 1 how there were a lot of like religious kind of icons, like the whole the cross and the shield. NOA had to remove all those things, so you can see the sanctuary.
They didn't want any controversial religious iconography in this at all.
Yeah, so like they kept the sanctuary, but they changed the names of a lot of things. They took out all that stuff.
And the original name of the game in Japan translates to the Triforce of the Gods.
Yeah.
And it has the word kami in it, from Okami and kami worship, or some people call Shinto, probably incorrectly at this point. But yeah, it's not called that here. In fact, the name is kind of misleading because it's called A Link to the Past, and it may be about a different Link in the past, but you certainly don't travel to the past in it. I think that's a misconception.
Yeah, I'd say this is more a Link to the Worlds than Link to the Worlds was. Link Between Worlds.
Link Between Worlds.
Which
is definitely a remake of this. I mean, it's completely different gameplay, completely different story, but the world is the same.
Yeah, so it's like a direct
If you're going to level that criticism at a game, it might as well not be Ocarina of Time.
I think but the biggest thing about this game was definitely being able to transport at will from the light world, as we're in now, to the dark world, to totally reimagined version of the world you're in now, and being able to explore it and all the new things that it offered was like basically thinking you were almost done with the game and then saying, hey, by the way, the entire world has changed.
Yeah.
Go find 8 crystals, have fun.
Yeah, I mean, the same thing plays out nicely in games like Symphony of the Night, where the castle turns upside down. You get to play the whole thing over again. It's just a slight change to how the game is laid out, so they save a lot in memory. And actually, the way they did the Dark World is by just overlaying a new pixel coat to the whole overworld. So they didn't actually build 2 worlds and make them similar. They built one world and then made it look different.
Yeah.
To save memory. And speaking of memory, this is kind of interesting. It's the first SNES game that was 1 megabyte of storage space.
And it's amazing you said that, they just basically had an overlay, but, a little kid me, the difference was like night and day. It was just that iconic scene where you're on top of the pyramid and you look across like the big horizon with the sun setting and just like, hey, save the world, save the princess, and you're like, wow, I'm feeling this adventure right now.
Yeah, and that, of course, in the light world is Hyrule Castle.
Yeah.
And you still go to the top of the castle, and there's still a background, but it's not as eye-catching as that weird, goofy sunset in the background.
Yeah, that was always very prominent for me, that wonderful sunset with, like, the weird buildings in the background you can never actually go to.
So you'll notice, if you are a Zelda series fan, that there's a lot of similarities between this and Link's Awakening in terms of just they kind of hit their stride with these games. They're kind of the complex top-down adventures that they became in the 2 Oracle games, stuff like that. But one of the reasons for that is that Link's Awakening, I love this, was originally made as a port. It was being designed as a port of Link to the Past. So they got pretty much Nintendo got a working version of Link to the Past running, and they're like, well, let's just make our own game out of this. But can you imagine this being ported to Game Boy?
That would have been
at the same time.
Oh, jeez.
The Game Boy is consistently impressive.
Yeah, because now in 2014 we're like, oh, port to the Vita 3DS at the same time. Yeah, that's fine. But back then that was unheard of.
And this was technically, in development, it began as an NES game. So in 1988, work began on this game. and you know it continued until 1991 was the release date in Japan, and then it came out in 92 here in the United States, where we are right now. So this is the first dungeon you're in, and I distinctly remember that this dungeon kind of shows you how to do a lot of the puzzles.
It does. It's kind of like, you know, in case you were absent for Zelda 1 and 2, it was just like, you know, here's how it's going to work. You're going to go through the dungeon, you're going to find the keys. Every room is very unique in this way it approaches puzzles. Nothing, you know, will make you cry, but it kind of leads you up that path of difficulty, where by the end of the dungeon...
If you have a bad TV, it's really hard to see those switches.
Yeah, I noticed that too.
I remember that when I was a kid.
Old jumping skeletons.
It's hard to see them. One thing that always, like, I really realized with this and Ocarina of Time, like, a lot of the puzzles are based on killing every monster in the room, so it forces you to, you know, learn combat, right?
Yeah, and then sometimes, like, the enemies can be hard to reach or hard to find.
Yeah.
Like when they're on, you know, the edge of a cliff, and if you fall down, you got to go back and kill them all again.
Yeah. Or like it'll be like a blob under something in a corner, and you just don't ever see it. So you always have to methodically just completely clear out every part of every room.
I think also a main part was the depth of this game.
You don't have to light as many torches in this as you do in Ocarina.
That's true.
You do sometimes though. You need to light torches.
Not as often. Yeah, that's true. But the way that they handle depth in this game, whereas, you know, it's a flat plane, but you're able to. Yeah. They use it in some clever ways, in ways like, you know, I wouldn't have thought of, like having secrets. And then trying to trick you with, like, you know, berries that you couldn't go back up.
What are you supposed to do down there?
I'm still trying to figure that out myself, actually.
I think it's just a way to make it it's like a one-way. So if you hop down from that door, you can't go back up there.
Oh, yeah, I see.
That's just what it is. Very clever.
Point of no return area, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So you know what the first treasure is in this dungeon?
This is where you get the bow, I believe. If I'm not mistaken. I already got some arrows.
Yeah. Those guys drain your magic, right?
Yeah, and then you have to use the magic powder. I don't think I had the oh, there's a map. I don't think I got the magic powder because I...
They greatly improved the map in this game. It's very useful. Let's check it out.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Map. Let me get this map again. There he is.
Yeah, I love how this looks. It's
and then
really
once you get the
helpful.
compass, you see the skull area in there. But yeah, I think over from, like, you know, Zelda 1, you know, there was a big overhaul on how complex the maps got.
Yeah, I mean, in Zelda 1, they're all one little shape on one
so
little
you
floor.
You said
that
a
weird shape, which is kind of a swastika. I never really understood why they did that. Must mean something different.
I know that there was some reason behind it. I forget what it was. I think
mean,
it was...
that symbol isn't widely accepted as an evil symbol in a lot of cultures.
Yeah, I mean...
it's kind of strange that would get through, you know, testing, and then they take off, you know... By this point, they're taking off hieroglyphics and stuff from Egyptian culture.
Zelda 1 was kind of a free pass. But you were telling me that you were big on Ocarina of Time more so than this game. But do you have a favorite memory from this game?
Absolutely. So I was sick, home from school, and it was totally a rental I got. And all my friends were into Zelda, but I was, like, for some reason a Mario fan, and I didn't want to play Zelda games, so I went back and played them later. But I started with this one, and I had played the others. I just wasn't big on them. And yeah, I stayed home and I played this, and I got to a save. I got far enough that I got the grappling hook, and I was like, oh, so that's what all those posts are for. And then I had to return it. So then I went back, and I was like, well, my save will be on the third file. Nobody will ever delete it. I never found that card again. So I never was
back in the days on Blockbuster, where you could just get that, keep running the same game over and over again. And just like, well, my save's still here.
Yep, I shouldn't have ever brought it back.
I'm surprised
what about you?
You never got the whole, if you're too sick for school, to for video games. That was always my parents would say.
Oh, really?
Yeah, if I ever was like, oh, I'm too sick, well, gonna go play Zelda. Nope.
This is gonna be a good stopping point. So give us your best Zelda memory from this.
The best Zelda memory would have to be the very end of the game when you crash back into the tower, riding the duck, and having that last boss fight. Like, you know, I had to stay up past my bedtime to a point where if my parents knew I was up, I was going to be grounded. But I had to beat Ganon because that was like the culmination of everything that I've been working towards for, like, you know, who knows how long I've been playing that game.
Yeah.
But like,
oh, now you're below this floor. So
oh yeah. I just remember it being like such an emotional finish for me, and seeing that the credits and the style of, like, the whole, like, the Return of the King and your uncle recovers and, like, everything I'd been working towards.
Your uncle who you leave in the sewer and then never see again.
Poor guy was right there the whole time.
Yeah.
But yeah, just seeing, like, you know, how it's like, you know, everything you'd been doing everything has been resolved now. All the things you work towards, everyone's feeling better and everyone's back to good, and then the Master Sword sleeps forever until Link Between Worlds, when it doesn't sleep forever anymore.
Cool. Well, we're just going through some of our favorite games of all time and checking them out, so please check back for more classic Let's Plays. And we have a lot of
it is Nintendo's 125th anniversary?
It is, yeah, coming right up, so definitely check that out. And yeah, keep it locked to IGN for all your retro and Zelda news and cool stuff.